Even if the Raiders beat the Bears, I don't know if I put them on this list. Grossi Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. These power rankings are getting difficult, Grossi, and today we're going to be breaking down the top 10 teams in the power rankings heading into week 6 of the NFL. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, on the Patreon side of things, we have the football that refused to go through the uprights. That was all week. We have Inject Chicken up in their membership to the royalty tier, and we have Derek Chapin. A big shout out and thank you to you all. And over on the YouTube side of things, we have Texas, who's here. We have Jarrett. We have Ethan DiMartino. We have Ricky Peck. We have CR Selman 92 star. We have Sean Letzow, and we got Scooter Magruder. A big shout out and thank you to you all. Now, last week, I put out my list in which I had the Bills sitting at number 1, and I justified that by saying they were the number 2 offense and the number 1 defense. They were just a bit more balanced than the Cardinals. And now look who has everyone as their number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Will they remain my number 1 this week? Yeah, there are spoilers. So if you were just here for the number 1, I guess you don't have to watch anymore. I mean, I'd like you to, but you do you. Starting off at number 10, and boy, I really thought about taking them off this list and replacing them with a team like the Bengals. You got the Kansas City Chiefs. This is like their last shot. They got a few easy games coming up, and I feel like they're going to be able to hang on to the top 10. But boy, the Chiefs got their ass kicked by the Bills on Sunday Night Football. The weather delay was only the second worst thing about that game, because you had their defense hanging on at number 1, and then the offense was a close number 3. The Kansas City Chiefs just didn't have it on Sunday night, and you thought, oh man, they're shutting down the Bills a little bit, defense is looking a little bit better, and then how many times is Honey Badger just going to throw his hands up after the secondary gets burned and is like, what are we doing back here? The Chiefs struggled. They could not stop Josh Allen whatsoever. Mahomes, 272 yards, had 2 interceptions. On top of that, he was their leading rusher, as they still don't have a rush game. On top of that, Clyde Edwards-Helaire got injured, so that's a big old problem. And you even had Tyreek Hill having another quiet day. Travis Kelce got contained. Mecole Hardman was their number 1 receiver at 76 yards. The Chiefs, they got to figure it out. And they got to figure it out quickly, because they are within a division in which I said the Chargers could potentially win this year. And everybody wrote me off. Neither here nor there. They got to figure it out. They have a couple games coming up, like I said, that they could kind of bounce back. But yeah, for now, the Chiefs are barely holding on to the top 10. Number 9, you got the Cleveland Browns. The defense is injured. They're beaten up, losing a shootout to the LA Chargers. I mean, here's what I'm going to say. You had the defensive pass interference, which was garbage. The Browns definitely could have won that game. I think a lot of criticisms of Baker Mayfield from the past week, those were cleared up as well, as Baker Mayfield was slinging it. Chubb was freaking fracking incredible. As always, 161 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. The run game is no problem whatsoever. And they were going through that Chargers defense like butter. The issues, you allowed 26 points in the fourth quarter. Going to be real difficult to win a football game when you do that. I have the Browns here at number 9, but as they get healthier, I think that team is going to continue to rise. I still think that they are one of the best teams in the AFC. The defense, did not look great, but I'm going to chalk that up to injuries, and we'll see what happens. Number 8, you got another AFC North team, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. An incredible comeback. 16 points in the fourth quarter, and boy, oh boy, Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, You had Hollywood Brown get 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews crushed it last night. But Lamar Jackson was absolutely incredible. Down big. Jackson 37 for 43, 4 touchdowns through the air, ran for 62 yards as well. To give you an idea of what this guy's stats look like, Lamar Jackson has over 1,800 all-purpose yards, which is higher than 15 other offenses. Like the entire team, their offenses. That's how good Lamar Jackson has been. Now, there's definite criticisms to give to the defense. There's definite criticisms to say, like, hey, they have no run game to help out, even though everybody is injured at this point. The thing is that Lamar Jackson basically was like, hey, like, I am still very relevant in this league, and I am still a very good player. He showed that he was a good quarterback, not just a running back on Monday night. And Lamar Jackson impressed the living crap out of me. Considering they only scored 3 points in the first half, and to come back and win that thing, I mean, I don't know if you give more credit to Lamar Jackson or you just go, what the hell is going on with the Colts? Number 7, you got the LA Rams. Well, scary times against Geno Smith, huh? Matthew Stafford a bit inconsistent on Thursday night playing against Seattle. I know his finger got banged up and he settled in pretty nicely and, things got a little bit better. And Cooper Kupp, almost 100 yards, but the star of the show was Robert Woods. Over 150 freaking fracking yards. And it just shows how many weapons the Rams actually have on offense. So the defense is kind of where I want to focus a little bit because the defense scared me a little bit. Geno Smith was able to get a 99-yard touchdown drive going against what is supposed to be a very good defense. The defense has looked a little bit suspect for the Rams. I don't think they are as good as they were last season. They've definitely regressed a little bit. Aaron Donald is still a monster, and I still think the Rams are a very good team, and this was a divisional game, and I think the Rams are still in good shape for the rest of the season, but right now they're hanging out in the bottom portion of the top 10. Number 6, even though they had a win, they're dropping down a bit, and that's the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. Talk about scary times. 5 missed field goals between both teams, and that was just in the final 2.5 minutes of regulation all the way through overtime. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, now he's the 5th all-time passing leader when it comes to touchdowns, so that's exciting. Aaron Jones had one really, really big run that set them up, but for the most part, the Packers really couldn't get the running game going too much. The defense did pretty good against Burrow, except letting that one really, really bad Jamar Chase touchdown right before half. Reminded me of the NFC Championship game. But I think the Packers, similar to the Browns, what the problem is that they are just injured to hell. I've gone through all their injuries. You got freaking 3 offensive line starters out, including our center, and both left tackles. It's going to be problematic. On top of that, on the defense, you're missing your best pass rusher and your best corner. The point is, the Packers are still winning. They're playing the Bears next week, in which hopefully you're going to have some guys from the offensive line return. I still think the Packers are in good shape, and they're going to need to be because after the Bears and Washington game, things are going to get a little dicey with their schedule. It's going to get a little bit more difficult. But right now, the Packers are doing what they're supposed to, and they're winning football games. Number 5, heading into the top 5, you got the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, here we are. Here we are. I mean, can we just say they won the East already, right? Like, is there even a point to play these other games? The Cowboys beat the crap out of the Giants, and literally, and that's after trying to take a punch from Kadarius Toney. Toney tore them up, but then he was like, yeah, I'm done now. Giants, Saquon Barkley out, Daniel Jones out, Kenny Golladay out, just bad. And the Cowboys, they took advantage of that. Prescott, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. Zeke, 110 yards. Pollard, 75 yards. The defense continuing to look pretty good. I know they're playing against, guys like Mike Glennon. They've won their past few games, and the Cowboys are looking good. I said before this year that their ceiling was 14-3, and they're making it look like it. Their schedule is not the hardest, so they are pretty fortunate right now. We'll see how they are against some stiffer competition as the season goes on. But right now, Cowboys are looking good. Number 4, you got the LA Chargers. I put them a little bit ahead of the Cowboys because their offense is just on another planet right now. Justin Herbert is absolutely crushing it. Herbert, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown as well. Eckler, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 53 yards receiving with another touchdown. And it's just the quality of the opponent. The Giants were beat to hell. The Chargers, they went up against a good Browns team, even though their defense obviously suffering some injuries. The Chargers are looking like a very good football team right now. Offensive line is still holding strong. And yeah, I think the Chargers are quickly becoming some favorites in the AFC. Number 3, you got the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Destroyed the Dolphins 45-17 so bad you had to call Ace Ventura and PETA. 411 yards and 5 touchdowns for Tom Brady. Both Brown and Evans had over 100 yards each and 2 touchdowns. And this is a team that's not fully healthy. I know it's the Dolphins right now, but this team is still scary. This team, once they start getting some of those pieces back in the secondary specifically, they're gonna be contenders again for the Super Bowl. And I know all of us are just anxiously holding our breath and hoping at some point they just lose during the playoffs. But right now, the Buccaneers continue their dominance, and I'm so sorry, Dolphins. Number 2, you got the Arizona Cardinals. Still undefeated, but offense, a little bit grounded. Not really in sync, more 98 degrees, if anything. But the Cardinals, pulling it out at the end against Trey Lance. The defense did pretty good. Held Trey Lance to just 3 points in the first half. And the Cardinals, I mean, they only had 7 points in the second half. So a little bit of a weird game for the Cardinals this week. But Cardinals are still a very good football team. I think that they are going to be very problematic when it comes to the postseason. And yeah, the Packers will be playing them in a few weeks. And finally, once again, number 1, you got the Buffalo Bills. I told you last week they were the number 1 defense and the number 2 offense. Well, now they're the number 1 defense and the number 1 offense when it comes to points scored and points allowed. Josh Allen, 15 for 26, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also ran for 59 yards and another touchdown. Could not be stopped. Looked poised, cool, calm, collective, in the pocket. Worried about that run game a little bit since it's only just really Josh Allen, but Zach Moss did some stuff at points. Picked off Mahomes 2 times, Gregory Rousseau with a tip and a pick, and the Bills just looked freaking fracking good. In a nasty game when it came to the weather, you had some questionable reffing calls. Doesn't really matter. They held KC to 7 points in the second half. That is impressive regardless of who you are. The Bills right now are the most balanced team in football. They have the defense to back it up. They have the offense that can fire away. And right now, the Bills are the team to beat. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think the Chiefs should still be in the top 10? Do you think there should be another team that is deserving of their spot? Who do you think's too high, too low? Let me know. You can send me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.